Well, hello, this is John, Vintage Fisherman. I don't think I've done a squidder for my channel. I did back in the day. I built a bunch of these, but before I started my channel, I rebuilt all the ones I have in my collection. And but I don't think I've done a video on one. I just purchased this one at auction. It's a nice little reel. This is the mini squidder. This is the 146. You got a 146. 145 is a medium size, and then the 140 is the regular size squidder. This is the one I would use the most on the coast. And I think I'm going to keep this one for my collection, folks. I like this reel. I got a couple of them. I sold one not too long ago to a friend of mine. He really wanted it, and made him a heck of a deal. So let's do this one for the collection. And where is my special wrench? So this wrench here you can purchase from Mystic, and it fits a lot of the Shimano's and the Penns and a couple other brands. So I got a few Penn reels coming up for my channel, so stay tuned if you're into Penns. That didn't sound right. Into Penns. Maybe someday. What I meant to say was, if you're into the Penn reels, I've got a few of them coming up. Take the handle off, back the star drag off. Whoa. This one just needs some love. It's really a nice reel. One of the beauties of these reels is they're quick release spools. You take this little thumb wheel off, and you I might have to put the handle back on to make it rotate. It could be stuck, but the beauty of it is you're supposed to be able to get the daggum thing apart, and I may be in trouble on that. Let's put the handle back on where I can crank back into it a little bit. But you can change the spools out on the water. So if you get spooled by something big, you can always. Oh boy, there it goes. All right. So I prematurely took the handle off. There you go. We're going to go into this side, and I'll come back to the gearbox. Here's your spool. This is the plastic spool. This is the one you want if you're going to surf cast. Mono is not the best thing in the world to put on these, believe it or not. But that's all we had back in the day, and that's what these reels were designed to use with. So, I will probably put braid on this reel if I'm just thinking ahead. You know, if I do use it. The only problem with squidders are they're very low speed. I think they're 2-something to 1, and that creates a long crank back on big fish. And they're fine for drum. Drum won't run back at you. Well, they'll do it, but you can usually keep up with them. But you need that cranking power for drum. Now I use a higher speed reel for drum nowadays, but back in the day we used these and nobody was complaining about it. But these reels can handle a pretty good sized fish, and they do have you can upgrade the drag to HT100. It's like a modern Penn. And that's probably what I'm going to do to this. I got to order some other Penn parts. I'm going to get this one apart and see what I need for it. And then I'll start ordering some parts for the other Penns I got coming up. So these are beautiful reels. It's a real shame somebody didn't make a higher speed gear set for them. But nonetheless, they get the job done. You're just not, you're going to be late for dinner. If you get a big running fish on there and it goes forever. It's a bottom fishing type of a reel, in my opinion. You're not going to throw spoons with it. You see, I'm taking the heel of the blade and going right in there and just barely prying on that ring, because these rings get stuck. Just over time, lube and stuff gets down there and turns into glue. And you really don't want to tear these rings up. You can get new rings. They are available. But I like to keep these reels original, so this one is going to go on my shelf. Which is kind of odd that I'm even thinking about considering keeping another old conventional Penn. I would tend to fish with more modern Penns in the surf now. I'm taking my time working my way around. You don't want to scratch this thing or crack it. Okay? So just be patient. Don't cut yourself. Be careful. And just work your way around. Another thing too, if you pry these too hard, they'll crack. The rings will crack right there at the hole. So we're getting it there. I do not recommend a screwdriver to do this. All right. And that's all it is for the side plate. Now we're going to take the bars and the stand off. That's what Penn calls this, a stand. Can't tell how much this reel's been used, but I suspect it's been used. These screws will go over here because they go on the gear side. These are a ball bearing reel, 2 ball bearings actually, to be exact. That's why they cast so good. This is my first conventional reel to use for an anchor reel on kingfishing. Picked one up at a tackle shop, cheap. Went out in the fields there at the farm and learned how to cast with a conventional. Trust me, it was very frustrating. I blew a couple of reels, or blew the reel up a few times before I got it to where I could consistently cast it. And then you got to factor in when you get to the pier or the wind. And that always changes things too. So these older reels are, if you can cast these, you can cast a new reel, no problem. These are old school. They spin really well, and therefore they will get away from them pretty quick. So you've got to have that educated thumb, as we say in the fishing. Now these are 2 rings. You got an inner and an outer, and I like to split them apart. I haven't done one in so long. I don't think I've got my screwdriver here that I used to use. This might be it. You got to kind of just lightly tap. Where'd my little hammer go? This is probably the wrong screwdriver for this, but we'll try it anyway. Let's go down here away from the screw holes and get started so we don't snap this thing. And you'll just split it a little bit and Why am I doing this? Because I'm going to make sure I prevent any corrosion behind this. And it's a pain. They don't like to come apart. I'm going to go to this screwdriver now. You just push it, screwdriver down there, and it'll wedge it apart. And then we can rust-proof or corrosion-proof the two rings. You can see how the corrosion's already started on, right? So we're going to fix that. Now, such a simple reel. Gotta love them. 4 screws for your bridge. There is a little spring in here, so be careful. But if you've took one Penn conventional part, they're all pretty much the same of these older reels, the older generations. And you got into your graphite reels like your GS. And some of those, they are different, but these are all pretty much the same. Really good quality reels. Hey, you guys need to buy some of my reels off my eBay page. I haven't gotten rid of too many of them here lately. Help a man out, get rid of some of that stuff. You rotate this around. Here is where your spring's going to come in. This is your anti-reverse dog. Where's my special little screwdriver? This little curved screwdriver comes in so handy. You go ahead and push that screw on out. And here is your, this is an older model of this reel. This right here is where you cut the anti-reverse on and off. Okay. And we can go ahead and poke these screws on out of here because they're just in the way at this point. And we'll go ahead and this reel just needs a clean. This is going to be a beautiful reel when I get done with it. Right there's the pinion is out. So let's go ahead and take this stuff here out. Getting a few too many tools on the bench here. This is your jack plate. And let's just pop it back like this. We'll take the yoke out. We got 2 springs. Okay. And your jack plate comes out. And all you really got left is your bearing and your 2 levers. This ring does not come off. It can, but it's not worth the effort. It's not going to get you anywhere, okay? So, I need to find the right socket for this. Oh, that's not it. But that's important though. I don't know why it wound up over there. We'll put it right here. A lot of my sockets have walked away here lately, working on cars. Had a lot of car projects over the last couple months before I went back to work. We'll see. I don't know if that's a 3/8 or not. No, that is not a 3/8. Well, I may just have to use my one size fits all. Wait a minute. Nope, that's not it. We'll do the one size fits all here. Just carefully take that loose. You don't want to scratch anything up. Remember how your spring goes in. It's looped up towards the ring. pretty much just pop this off. This is your free spool. Oh, goodness. And then we'll take the anti-reverse lever off. Mostly this stuff just needs cleaning. That's why I'm taking it apart. For just a regular dressing of this reel, you wouldn't need to do this. Now underneath here, get that off of there. There's two little detents in there. There's a spring. I'm going to show you how to get that out in just a second. Come on, John. I want something to push that with. This little deal here is stuck. I need to push it without tearing up the cover. Gear cover. There it goes. That thing was stuck. That's why you clean these things, man. Get them back in working condition. So, right here, this little ball, you can pull that out. You're supposed to be able to pull that out. Well, you know what? It may be. No, it doesn't come out because it's shouldered. It comes in. You have to take this ring off to get that out. So we're going to leave that alone. You do have the ball bearing in there. This doesn't come off. It's spring loaded. I haven't had a whole lot of luck getting these bearings out, but we're going to give it our best shot here. Because I would like to clean the bearing. There it goes. So you get this little cover that comes out, and your bearing slides right out. See how I did that? That's where this little tool comes in so flippin' handy. All right, so that's all that side. Over here, the only thing left is this bearing here. And then we'll get that. This one can be a little bit tougher. Yeah. It could be a bit nerve-wracking because you don't want to tear anything up, right? You can order this whole unit. But I kind of want to keep this cap. We'll come back to that. Let me think on it a minute. You pull your gear off. You get the sleeve. Now, when I go to HT100 drags, all this is going to be different. So I may not be able to use that sleeve at the length that it is. I may have to go and modify it. Because this does not have HT100 drags in it. This has got the original. They're carbon drags, but they're not HT100. So here's where Penn went wrong on this reel. They should have offered some different gear sets for it. What a difference that would have made on these reels. They would be in the sweethearts of the rodeo, let me tell you. Alright, now this comes off of there, and then you got one pin in there. I may be able to get it out without having to do too much here. Sometimes they push right out. And sometimes you got to pound them out. Yeah. I just line it up on a hole and drive that out there. And there it is. You got to have the right size pin. These are used for gunsmithing, gun repair. Comes in a Wheeler, kit by Wheeler. They work great for fishing reels. And there's the pin that came out of it. That's the whole entire reel, with the exception of the bearing. And I've got to figure out how I want to pop that bearing out. That can be a real bear to get out of there. Once you get this cover off, the bearing comes out pretty good, but it's very hard to. One thing, just holding it to try to pry it out, there can be damn near impossible. So we're going to try here for a little bit, and then before I give up. Yeah. I used to have an old cover I used to this. Didn't have to worry about messing up the bait clicker. But I don't have it anymore. I don't know what I did with it. Yeah, that's gonna be a real bear. I don't have a bearing puller, so to speak, for this reel. So yeah, I've had these problems before. This is nothing new. I got a lot of tools, but I don't have the right tool to pull the bearing. Well, dang it. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I want to get it out of there, though. It's in there. It's in there good. I may end up just having to clean the bearing in there and just go with it, because I don't really want to. It may be coming. Oh, I think it is. Can't believe this is working. This is just an eyeglass screwdriver, so that tells you how lightly they're put in there. But it really helps to have this thing in the bearing in the cover plate, where you can hold on to it easier than. I've bent it a little bit, but it's working. It's coming. This is where working on reels, you really have to have some patience, man. You can't just go tearing into them, right? You gotta have some patience. There's the bearings. All right, this reel is completely disassembled. I will clean those bearings. Let's just wipe them down and see what they look like. They definitely need to come out of there, though. That's pretty bad. It's a sealed bearing, but I do believe they're both the same bearing. They're identical bearings, so. And we'll just check and see about that. Yeah, they're both the same bearing, so I'm going to soak them and just check them out. I may not have to replace them. We'll give them a good soaking. I did mess the shield up on that one a little bit. And that's too big. get a punch of the right taper. Yeah, that bearing's got some growl to it. It's really full of stuff too. It ain't dead yet, but it ain't great. That one's good. Look at that. That's a good bearing. This one, I think it might be okay. I'm gonna soak it and I'll check it again before I put the reel back together. I don't think I'm gonna order any. It wouldn't hurt to soak them in some oil, that's for sure. And just see how they spin out. Okay, well, I'm gonna get some drag washers on order. I may go ahead and order 2 new bearings just for the hell of it. I'm not gonna put Bocas in, I'll put Penn in it. And I'll be back. Okay, this is John, I'm back. Oh man, I don't even remember taking this reel apart. That's how long ago it's been. Well, that's not for this reel. Okay, so these are for a friend of mine's reel. And yes, I don't normally work on people's reels, but I'll explain this one when I get to it. And I felt like it was the right thing to do to help my friend out. We'll rebuild that reel when the time comes. So Mystic was slow. I ordered these parts 2 weeks ago, folks. I don't know what's going on with Mystic. Very uncharacteristic. And you'll have to bear with me. I got a little bit of a cold going on here. My heater don't sound too damn good. It's cold. We had pretty good snowfall here in Virginia, which is very unusual this time of year. We don't get too many of those. I've got some bearings here. I guess I remember ordering bearings for this dang thing, but I'll keep the old bearings because I don't think there was much wrong with them. I'm not sure what's up with Mystic. They I'll order something sometimes and I get it in like a day, or no, not a day, never that quick, but maybe 2 days, 3 days. And other times I'll order stuff from them and it'll say, it'll immediately say ship like the next day or even sometimes that afternoon, and it takes 2 weeks to get it. So it may not be Mystic, it could possibly be the Postal Service. That's who they use. I know the Postal Service is slammed this time of year, so, and I'm just getting everything out and getting it ready here. And then we'll attempt to put this reel together. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and it's been a while since I tore this one apart. That's something I don't like about having to order parts. I usually, like for ambassadors, I keep everything in stock. But for whatever reason, for Penn, some of the Penn stuff, I don't keep it in stock because I usually don't have any problem getting it in a timely manner. Ambassador stuff takes a little bit longer. So that's why I keep some in stock. I gotta take my glasses off. I can't see nothing with my glasses on. Now what am I going to do? I gotta put this thing back together, don't I? Okay. We can start off right here and get rid of a couple parts. Feels pretty smooth. We'll give it some oil. I don't normally grease those. I usually put oil in them. And then that has a pin that goes through right there. The pins have a pin. How about that? It goes in right there. And it, usually, if everything's right, it'll just push in with your fingers. I ordered the HT100 drag set, so I won't be needing any of this. So we'll set that to the side right now. Next in is this washer, and it gets some good old cows here. I don't normally replace this inner fiber washer unless it's really in bad shape. And this one's not bad. It goes all the way down. We'll go ahead and put some grease on this gear. So that's done. And you can grease it later. It's a lot easier to do it right here outside of the reel. But so this is the small Penn Squidder. I think I've decided for now to keep this particular reel. And I'm gonna put it on the shelf, and I think I've got room for it. I had one of these little Squidders. I sold it to a good friend. Actually, I did some trading to a good friend, so that's what happened. If you're wondering why I don't have one of these little Squidders, because I really like them. These cast the best of all the Squidders, in my opinion. Those things are dry. So it's your run-of-the-mill Penn setup. You'll get a keyed washer, and it's keyed because it's got two flats on it that goes in after your first HT100 washer. We'll put our second HT100 washer in. And then you put your eared washer. Got two little ears on it, see that? I've had some people comment about the definition of my videos is not really good. I can't do anything about that. I'm filming with my phone. I'm not going to use a GoPro in here to do this. I have to go through and upload from a GoPro to a laptop or my MacBook or whatever, and then put on YouTube. It's just too much trouble. I'm not lying. It's too much trouble. I can go from my phone to YouTube in 10 minutes and have a video up. Okay, once you get all that on there, you got this wavy washer that goes on, or it's a spring washer, and then that sleeve, and that sleeve's going to fall back out, so don't get too excited about that. Yeah, we got, this thing's still kind of crusty. This was a really nice old reel, but it had a lot of really weird crustiness about it. I don't think I got it all off. It just doesn't look like it cleaned up 100% for me. Yeah, I can tell it didn't. That's really odd. There's some right there. Kind of making a mess out of how the reel looks. It's all underneath that little selector. Yeah. Not the end of the world. It has nothing to do with the mechanics of the reel. Just a little bit of the cosmetics right there. It's like old oil that's turned into like a crusty looking stuff. And it's kind of dried up. Yeah. Now we're making progress. There. That's much better. You always want to make sure this spring is working in there. That's for your quick release, full release. And let's see here. Okay. First thing we're going to put in is a small selector. Gosh, I hope I can remember how this thing goes back together. It's been a minute or two. This has to spin around and lift the anti-reverse. So I'm assuming it's going to go somewhere right there. No. Probably not. Maybe right there. And then you'll put this on, and it's going to want to pop back off, remember, because it's got that little detent ball underneath it. So we'll take our time and try to hold it in place till we get it together, and hopefully I got it right. We'll see. And it should snap back and forth. You don't want that to flip on you in the middle of... And I can tell you how you check this. This will go in there like this. This is your anti-reverse dog. And when you throw that down there, it keeps it from anti-reversing. It should say off, yes. So I think I've got it right, folks. Let's hope. All right, we got the bearings. They sent this shim with each bearing. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. It didn't come out of this reel, but it's going to go back in it. So we're going to put this bearing in, and it's going to go in crooked right off the bat. Okay. And then I believe this goes in right there, and then this piece will push in down against that. So I gotta take something and drive that in there. Something round. This might work. Nope, that won't work. The end of a punch. Will that work? Nope, not big enough. This will work. So we'll put that down in there. So that bearing is installed. We'll give it a drop of lightning lube from Boca. These are not Boca bearings. They are from Mystic. Now the next thing is to put the free spool selector on. These were in a little rough shape. If I had to do over again, I would order new ones. But I wanted to try to keep this reel as original as I could and functional as I could. If that makes sense. So I went with a couple of new parts, but not a bunch of new parts or upgrades or whatever, except for the HT100s, because if you're going to fish for drum with this reel like it should be fished with, you really need the HT100s. So what you got to do is kind of get that in there. You'll take this and set it upside down with the knobs pointing up towards you. And you should be able to rotate it around to where it stays right there. And you'll put that on there, and we'll put some grease down in that. And then you can put, oh, that's the wrong one. It's this one right here. Yes. And this is a greasable, has the oil port on it. What did I just say? It has the oiling hole on it. Oh goodness. Come on. Been one of them days. All right. And see, it should snap back and forth. See how the spring is? And that's how that works. All right. Now the fun begins. Put a little bit of grease on all that. We're going to need this. This is your jack plate, right? So the jack plate will go in like this. But first we got to get the yoke in there. You got the two springs go in those pockets. Here's your pinion gear, goes on the yoke. Doesn't really matter which way the yoke goes, it's symmetrical. Some people might say, well, you put the numbers down or you put the numbers up or whatever. It does have part numbers on it. So there might be a right way to do it, how they were instructed to do it from the factory, but it doesn't mean it's the wrong way. Does that make sense? Did that make any sense at all what I just said? Oh goodness. Hold on. Let me drop something. Didn't realize I had two rags sitting over here. Okay. This is fun. I'm not gonna lie. This is like the worst part of doing a Penn reel. You got this will go on here like this. So the open end of the yoke goes towards the main gear. I'm gonna give that some grease. This will go in right like that and sit right there. And then you can kind of keep everything, you can hold it all together for a minute or two. The screws with no thread or with short amount of threads go in where the springs are. And the reason being, if you put this, these are the same length screws, but if you put the screw in that has full length threads, the springs will hang up on it and the reel won't function properly. This is going to go in just like that, but I got to go in after I get the main gear, and then this is going to fall off, so we'll just go ahead and take that off of there. I got the pinion on, but how many of y'all noticed that just now? I had the pinion on upside down. Good day. And nobody said a word. Y'all were going to let me be an idiot. All right, hang on here. The pinion, the dry, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Everything wants to fight. This is the way my day's gone. I'm a diesel mechanic and I've been fighting with a big old bus all day. I'm pretty sure it ran me over a couple times. So the pinion goes down towards the bearing, okay? And you're going to put this in here. And you're going to bring this around. You're going to hold on to all that. Just like that, okay? Is any of this making sense to you? You're going to put this in. You're going to feed that little bitty spring down in that little pocket. A lot of fun. This screw's got to come up. I'm telling you, man, you got to hold your mouth right. You got to wait on all the stars to line up and planets and all that good stuff. Once you get it to right there, that screw's barely sticking through there, you can take that anti-reverse dog, pop it on that screw, take that spring. That spring is attached to the anti-reverse dog on this reel. I really like that. Some of them they're not. But that's a nice little setup. And you're going to rotate this thing around and hope that that spring stays in place. And you're going to tighten that screw down just a little bit to kind of hold it. And then you're going to take one of the screws without the all thread. And it's going to go up in here, and you're going to have to fight it just a little bit. You'll get it started. Take the other one with all thread, go through the other hole with the spring in it. And it did not start because it's not in line. Come on, there we go. All right, got it. So we got one more screw, and it's the last one with all thread. Goes in the bottom of the bridge. So the nomenclature is bridge. This is your press plate or jack plate, and you got your yoke. And of course, you know about your gears and your drag and all that good stuff. And so you can tighten these down. Go at a cross torque pattern. It's like you would on anything on a car. And don't overdo it. You do not have to have these super tight. And I'll bet you, let's see, it's up in there good. I was going to say, I bet you I'll let that washer fall out and I got to do it all over again, but it's in there. So that sleeve can go in, and we're going to go ahead and put some grease on here. Now, when you put a new drag on these reels, sometimes you got to trim that sleeve down. This drag, you see how it's got a cutout on it? This drag star and the numbers, the part number. On all Penn reels, the part number on the star drag goes towards the gears. Okay? And that cutout has to go towards the gears on this one. Now it's going to want to fight with me, so I can put the handle on it and tighten that down. Now all that's on there for is to hold it all together till I get the reel built. That piece is done. I can essentially just set it to the side. That's the handle nut. All these screws hold the cover. This goes with the handle. All these little screws go with this cover. Let's build this side. We got cover here. Some people put grease on that. I don't, because I like to hear the clicker really loud. You know, when the waves are crashing on the beach, and you know, the best time to fish for drum water is always ugly. I mean, it's rough. It's like a washing machine. Open the lid or look down through, peek and look in the inside of your washing machine when it's running, and all the water is just going there. That's the best drum water. So if you're on the beach and you're fishing that, you can't hear a fishing reel. You can't hear it go off. You can't hear all that. So you need it to be as loud as it can be. I guess that's as far down as that thing goes. We'll put the shim in it, and then we are going to have to force that down in there, which is not a bad deal. They actually go in pretty well most of the time. Watch me jinx myself here. Yeah, we're gonna jinx ourselves. You know what? I could probably use my press over there, but it's not getting it. So we're just gonna keep going at it. Oh, everything's falling. That's tight. That's a tight fit. Y'all can't see what I'm getting ready to do here, but oh my goodness. I got everything out here. Oh no, what I just dropped. Well, I hope it wasn't nothing important. Well, it actually was. It's the part I was getting ready to work on. So, yeah. Now we got a problem. I got to stop the video because the piece I was just getting ready to work on is gone. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay. That wasn't pretty, but I got it back. The unfortunate thing is I lost 2 pieces to it I can't find. But they aren't needed because this is really what goes in there. It's aggravating. It really is. I'm putting back in there the stock original bearing retainer, just like that. I went to press this on in my arbor press, and the part went flying, and it went way up to the back of the wall over there. And I couldn't find the 2 pieces to it, the shim and the new cap. So I'm putting the original cap in. The original cap doesn't have, the retainer doesn't have a shim. So there you go. No big deal. We'll put some grease in there. Let's oil the bearing. I have a feeling this is going to spin pretty good. These bearings look really nice. Felt really nice. That's all you got to do with that. Now, you have 2 rings for the palm plate. The ones that are recessed go on the outside. The one with the recessed holes go on the outside. Okay? And the one that does not have the recessed holes or flat goes on the inside because they meet up with the bars. Okay? And so we just do like that, and you see how it looks. And that's pretty, isn't it? That's beautiful work there. So to start out with, we'll put some bars on it. I just put a little bit of grease on them and run them down. I'll put the screw in, put the grease on. Oh, and here's something else too. You should have 2 short screws that go into the real stand. They call it a stand. Penn calls it a stand. You got 4 longer screws that go into the bars. That makes sense. And I like this because it's still got really good screws in it. And I'm not even going to replace the bars. They've got a little bit of wear to them and nothing that will keep us from building the reel here. So, and it goes pretty quick from here because you've got the worst of this reel done. And that one's not wanting to thread in, so. I'm going to unthread it and flip it over. The bars on these pins is what strengthens everything up. It's what makes these reels strong. And that bar doesn't want to go tight. So we're going to have to fight with that one. All of them are fighting with me, except for that one, the first one I put in. So we're going to go through and try to tighten them up. They don't have to be super tight, just enough to pull everything together. This is the one that's fighting with me the most. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. That one's good. Okay, that one's good. So what I would normally do with this is take a piece of leather and wrap around the bar and then grip the bar. Oh, that didn't work out too well, did it? With a pair of pliers. Those pliers are not going to work. Let's see if I can get some different pliers going here. Put these big channel locks on it. You want to use something that's not going to tear up the chrome on the bar. You put that in there and you can tighten it down. Okay, I got that. Just a piece of, it's an old piece of a belt. Simple to make. Take your stand, put a little bit of grease in those thread in the holes. Make sure you get a little bit on the threads. I got dog hair all over everything here. Me and the dog have been going around and around up there. She She made a bit of a mess today. All right, now. It don't act like it wants to catch thread. I'm going to put this one in. If you put the wrong screws in the stand, they're going to be too long. And what happens then is, I'll show you here in just a second, they will stick out right here. So if your line loops up in it all on a cast, maybe it starts to backlash a little bit, it will catch those threads, and you're in for a bad day, because everything is just going to go off into space. Now, I've split these two rings apart for a reason. I like to really clean these rings, these two rings pressed together, and I like to make sure that they are cleaned and protected. So I put WD-40 in underneath them. I just line one of the holes up and press it together. If one hole's lined up, they're all lined up. And that's the two rings are pressed together. This is where your gearbox locks into the reel. And then all you gotta do is go through, put a little bit of grease in each one of these holes, just to protect the screw. Trust me on this. If you ever take one of these apart that's corroded really badly, you will be thinking back about what I said. Make sure you put some grease on those threads, because they are impossible to get apart. This side over here takes the countersunk screws, because your gearbox goes in here. You can't have any screws sticking up. You have that hole there where the quick release screw goes into, the one that's on a spring. And once you get them all started, you're going to run down in a cross thread pattern. Start here, go to here, go to here, go to here, go to here. I'm trying to do this where y'all can see it and I can still get some torque on it in there. And that's it. That's pretty much the reel. Believe it or not, the only thing I got left is a handle. We can go ahead and put that on. You'll put some grease in there and put your handle nut on. And use your handle nut wrench. Tighten it down. Line up one of those little places on there with the notch and put your screw in. And you are about done with the reel. This screw locks that handle nut, so it can't come loose on you while you're fishing. That is important. Remember, I didn't need that. These are extra bearings, which will go in my bearing box over there. Okay, now I'm going to put some oil on the spool. Put it in there. Put this in there. Line up. And this has got to go all the way around the line. I may have the drag too tight sometimes, so it's something to do with that. They fit really tight after you take them off. I don't know what it is. But that's got to go all the way around and line up with that hole. Well, let's take it back off. Let's see where the problem is. All right. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. Wow, that thing is not wanting to line up. I'm not sure what happened with that. Sometimes this happens. And we know the bait clicker works, right? I'll have to figure out why that doesn't want to line up. It's about a quarter of a hole off. I think wherever the problem is, it's causing that right there. It's something in here. Could be that bearing. Odd. Very, 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 very odd. I've never had one act like this. It couldn't be the bearings. What's going on here? What is hitting? There it goes. All right, we got it. But it's not free spooling very well. Oh, there we go. Yeah, something wasn't lined up just right. Okay, there you go. Now, you put that spool full of line, well, it's still too tight. That's just right. Oh, boy. Man, I'd love to put some line on that and throw a 6-ounce weight out, maybe an 8. So that's free spool. It's in gear. Let's slip that drag. That's what I mean about making them loud. I like to hear that thing plumb across the beach. Turn your anti-reverse off. You can backpedal the reel if you need to. Don't know why anybody'd ever want to do that. I've never used that feature on any of my squidders. Well, there it is. That's pretty cool old reel. Put some of my stuff up here. Where's my bearings at? I'm done with something with them. No, that's just good. There they are. Got a mess on this bench. I don't throw these old bearings away. I keep a whole thing full. You never know when you're going to get into a reel that you need a bearing for, and it may just work out that you had it, you know. So these drag washers will go into my Penn reels box next time I have it down. I'll probably put it, that's a mess in there. I'll put it right here for now, I guess. Anyway, sidetracked there a little bit. Anyway, it's John Bench Fisherman. I appreciate y'all watching. I had a little bit of issue with it there at the end, but it all worked out. Let me go through and grease this thing. Show you how to do an external greasing or oiling. You need an oiler with a needle. You're going to push that one down and you'll give it a little shot. One in your handle, push that one down, you give that handle a little shot there and there. Let's see, you got another oiler right here. Give that a shot. You got an oiler on here. Give that a shot. And now you've pretty much got this reel oiled up and ready to go fishing. There's not an oiler on this side. Nothing on that. That's a nice reel, and like I said, it's going on my shelf. So, all right. Well, like I said, it's John Bench Fisherman. I appreciate y'all watching. I'm sorry I got a little sidetracked on this one. It seemed to give me a little bit of fit. The Squidders, back in the day, in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, these were, if you weren't using spinning gear in the surf, this was one of the ones. But I'm gonna tell you, you had to have a lot of patience cranking this thing back in. The old joke was you can cast a mile, but it takes you 2 hours to get your line back. So anyway, there it is, the Penn 146 Squidder. That's the narrow Squidder. This is John Bench Fisherman. Thanks for watching. If you get a chance to take a kid surf fishing, man, I'll never forget my first time on the surf, riding down the Outer Banks with my dad and the Scout, heading for the next little fishing spot. You learn to watch the waves and how the waves were breaking, and that kind of taught you where to go for the fish and where to set up at. And those are things I learned as a kid that carry with me today. Anyway, y'all have a great day, and I'll be here for the next one.